Let's get into bash scripting. So a bit of background, so bash is, the way I define it is it's a language that you use whenever you run a command in Linux. So whenever you type like ls or cd or cat, you're writing a single bash command. And then you can stack these bash commands together in a file like writing any program, that would be a bash script. And the nice thing about bash is that since it's a scripting language, you don't need a compiler. With other languages like Java or C, you need to run it through a compiler and then run that binary. In bash and other languages like Python or Ruby, you just call the file directly. And the strength of bash comes for automating system tasks. Usually bash scripts are pretty slow, or not slow, small, usually like single digits as far as code lines go, or low double digits. If you're getting to like 50 or more lines, at that point I would start considering using a language like Python or Ruby. But bash is good for these short scripts that are used to run system tasks over and over again. And also bash, if you want to run bash, you don't have to install anything. If you're on Linux, it's there by default. So if you want to follow along and you got on a Linux machine, just open up a terminal and create some files. So this is what hello world looks like in bash. As you can see, it's only 2 lines. First one is what's called the shebang line, that shebang/bin/bash. Basically, that just tells the system where the bash interpreter is, so it knows how to run the file. And then the second line is just echo hello world. No semicolons, no parentheses, no quotation marks, just hello world. So if you want to run it, I'll just hold up a terminal, show you what it would be like. Extension for, oh, that is really small. One more. So extension for bash files is .sh, and then we'll just type the same way it's in the slide. And then execute it, you just type /hello.sh. And if you try to run this right now, what it's going to say is permission denied, because when you create a file by default, it's not executable. So next thing I'm going to do is type chmod 755 hello. So it is now executable. And then from here, you can just run it and you'll get the hello world output. So that's the first way to run bash scripts. There is actually another way to run bash scripts, and that's just by typing bash hello.sh. That'll run it too. Nice thing about running it like that is if you do it like this, you technically don't need this line because now your system knows it's a bash file, so it doesn't need to know where the interpreter's at. And you also don't need to have it as executable for file permissions. So if I do chmod a-x, so now it's not executable, but we can still run it. So those are the 2 ways you can run it, whichever one you prefer. They're both good. Doesn't really matter too much. It does have to be readable for the bash command to work. So if I do like chmod, then that will get permission denied. So that's hello world. And then, so some of the things in the bash as far as variables go. To declare a variable, you just type the name of the variable, $, and the value you want to give it. So you don't have to declare the type. You don't have to say it's an int, a string, a double, or car. You just assign it, and it'll be declared at runtime, like with other scripting languages like Python. And to call the variable, you do $, and then the name of the variable. So like you can see at the bottom here where it says echo $, variable name, that will print out the assigned variable, the value assigned to the variable. And there are some special variable names that are specific to bash. The main one being $1 or 1 through 9, which are the arguments that are presented at the command line. There are some other ones, but those are the ones that matter the most. So with those, we can modify our hello world file a bit more. So this is another script that I have. This one, you have a variable assigned to the string hello, and then you echo hello, a space, and then the first arg, which would be the name of the person writing the command. So I'll demonstrate that one here as well. That one is, so this is the script, it's just the same thing as in the slide. And if we run that and then give it the arg of Bob, it will say hello Bob. Do any name, it'll do that. So that's the variables. So args are good for if you want the user to make an input before the program's run, but if you want to do it while the program's running, you'd use a command called read. Read is basically the same thing as like a scanner in Java. You just type, in this case you type read, and then the name of the variable they want the user input to be stored in. So in this case, in this example program, again, still just a modified version of hello, because I put a lot of creativity into these. it will say echo what's your name, and then it'll do the read var name command, so that will give the user a shell to type in, and then that input will be reflected back, echo hello, followed by the name, the thing the user inputted. Okay, last demo I have to start for these basic commands is, let's see, input. So the script, same thing as in slide again, and then if you just call it, so it'll run, it'll say what's your name, and then here's the where it's getting ready to read, type in just Bob again, and it'll get hello Bob. All right, so if you want to do math in Bash, it's a bit weird compared to other languages. You have to use there's two ways you can do it. The first one being is a command called let, where you'll say let, and then the equation you want to evaluate. The other option is you do a $, and 2 open parentheses, the equation you want to evaluate again, and then 2 close parentheses. So here's what it would look like in practice. So if you want to assign a to the value of 5 plus 4, you just say let a equals 5 plus 4, or you could do a equals $, double open parentheses, 4 plus 5, close parentheses. So it's a bit different than compared to more traditional languages, but it's still quick because math doesn't take too much to do usually. All right, so if-else statements in Bash. The syntax for this is again slightly different, but it's a bit, I guess, wordier than their languages. There's no curly braces, you just have more words. So this is what an if, else statement would look like. So you do if, and then you have the test. The statement would be tested in brackets, followed by a then, and then the then is followed by the actual command you want to run. And then after that, if you have an else if statement, that would be done as elif, and then same syntax, followed by the command, followed by the then. And then finally you have an else, which does not require a then. And then when you want to end your entire script, you type phi, which is just if backwards. Important thing you want to notice in this script is that these brackets have a space before and after them. If you don't add that space, you'll possibly get an error when you try to run it. And along with, another thing about these if statements is that you can actually have flags in the if statement itself. So if you look at this command on the right, it says if-f etsy password. There's some things you can do in this case. So what this is doing is, well, for most arguments you can pass to if are about a file, the status of a file. So for example, if-f etsy password will return true if the file exists. So if etsy password exists, then this will be executed. Okay. So loops in Bash, main ones, you got the while, you've got the for loop. The while loop, the syntax is similar to the if-else statements, where you have the statement to be tested in brackets, followed by, in this case, instead of, it is do, followed by the commands, and then done. So it's basically just left curly brace is in place of do, and then right curly brace is in place of done. A bit wordier syntax, I guess. And then along with the while loop, you have the until loop, which is a lot like a while loop. It's kind of reversed. Same syntax. Basically, a while loop executes as long as the command is true. Until loop executes as long as the command is false. So it's basically just a while loop with a bang in the test statement. So it does the exact same thing, but it's, I guess, a little bit nicer to read, but not really something you need to worry about too much. And the for loops, this syntax for the for loop, where it's for value in left curly brace, beginning number, dot, dot, final number, right curly brace, and then it's again, it's a do, the commands you want to run, and then done. So for this for loop, it would execute echo value 5 times, so I'd print out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then another thing you can do with these for loops is, what if you don't want to count by 1, if you want to count by something like 2? Well, then for this last one, this one counts from 10 down to 0 by 2, so it would be for value in 10, dot, dot, 0, dot, dot, 2. And I don't have the for each loop up here, but that's also in Bash. For my last demo, I'll show you that. Yeah, the syntax is basically the same as it is in Python, if you're familiar with how it works in Python. Okay, so I said that Bash commands are good for automating tasks, and I really haven't shown anything about automation, but if you want to automate tasks in Bash or just on a system, you'd use what's called the cron tab, which is basically it contains all the commands you want to run automatically and how often they want to be ran. And there are 3 places where the cron tab can be found. The first one is a user cron tab, which is specific to every user. To open this one up, you just type cron tab -e. Then there's also the package cron tab, which is found in etsy/cron.d. That's for basically any package you install will have its own folder in there for its repeated repeated processes. There's also cron.daily, cron.hourly, cron.weekly, and cron.monthly, but they're all basically there for packages. And then finally, you have the system cron tab, which is stored in just etc cron tab. So if you want to open up the cron tab, get my terminal back, just type cron tab. And this is what the cron tab looks like by default. It's just a series of comments that explains to you how the cron tab works. And it comes with a demo that has been commented out. And the syntax for this is 00 or 05 asterisk asterisk 1, and then the command that it's running, which in this case is tar-czf, and then it's just compressing the file. So what does this mean exactly? So the first 5 numbers specify how often you want this to be ran. So in this case, or they go month, then hour, then day of the month, and then month of the year, and then day of the week. So in this instance, one right here, what it's doing is at the 0th minute of the 5th hour, so just at 5 a.m., 24-hour scale, the asterisk means everyone, so every day and every month for the first day of the week. The first day, or day 1, I guess I should say. Day 1 is Monday. The way it works is the days are numbered 0 through 7, 0 being Sunday, 7 also being Sunday. So if you want to think of it as like a 0 to 6 system or 1 to 7 system, those are both what you can do. And then finally the command you want to run. So I'm just going to uncomment this other one that I wrote. Oh, one more thing. So this can either be, the command can either be a single command or it can be a link to a bash script, depending on which one you want to do. So in this case, it's just running, in the first case, it's running a single command. And this one down here, it is running a bash script every minute. So I'll uncomment this one and show you what it does. Hold on. Actually. So this is a script that's being run every minute. Basically all it does is it echoes hello, and then it pins that to the end of a file called autoran, which is repeating every minute. Just turn this on now. I don't think it hasn't ran yet, but once the clock changes to 5:50, it'll run for the first time, so it's running every minute. Which shouldn't be too long. Clock, there we go, okay. So I have a file called autoran, and it imports hello. So that's running every minute right now. Not super useful, but it's a good example. So for last thing to do, I have one more script to show you. It's this would be an example of, my best example come up before a script that's like actually something you don't want to run in the cron tab. And basically the problem that it's addressing is that my pictures directory is just a list of screenshots. And let's say I want to keep these screenshots, but I don't want them to have these super long ass names all the time. So what the script does is basically it goes into the directory and it will, I'll walk through it. So first it changes to my directory home pictures, and then it creates a variable called count equal to 0. And then here is the for each that we talked about. It's for f in, and then the set we're working with. So it's for f in home pictures asterisk. So basically for every picture in my directory, it will do a move from the original file name $f to a new one, which is just $count. So, and then count is incremented by 1 right here. So the point is just all the screenshots be renamed to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, makes it a bit cleaner, and it makes it easier to see which screenshots are older and newer pretty easily. So if we go to cron tab, and let's say I want this to run at the 0th minute of, say 3 a.m., the first day of the month, every month, and we don't care about the day of the week. And it will run the script, which is located right there. So we'll run that first of the month at 3 a.m. every month, which would be useful. I'll demo it anyways, just because I'm not going to make you wait till the first of the month. So you got a pictures file folder here. I haven't tested this yet, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'll run it, and then they all get changed. So this will be useful. And then basically any screenshots taken from now until the start of next month would be just clearly labeled screenshots. So this is an easier way to see what screenshots are new, I guess. So it's really still not the most useful, but as far as coming up with an automated bash script that would be useful for me when I'm not actually like doing any sysadmin stuff, that's the best I could come up with. So that's all I got for this presentation. Are there any questions about anything that I talked about? All right.